And we are going to fill the void if there's any gap in your info stream or knowledge stream. We are here to fill that, and you are hearing from Mike Gallagher about the breaking news regarding a shooting in the area of the federal district. People who live near the federal district are, for a moment, in fear of lives of innocent young men and women, and some boys and girls at a school. This is David Tulis. We are here at 92.7 and 95.3 FM HD4, and want to make note of doings locally, which are not really as dramatic, but because they are involved in the world of ideas, are truly important to you, my listener, and to our well-being in Chattanooga and Southeast Tennessee, and points beyond, as they might have to look in on the doings of city government, and more importantly, of course, more importantly than that, the doings of the people of Chattanooga, which I'd like to think are exemplary in many ways, though it seems we're under numerous judgments that are rightfully deserved. There are signs of, I would say, God's favor upon our city. Now, we have in the headlines today an announcement about Mayor Andy Burke's new proposed council, a group of groups that intends to deal with homelessness. This is something long in gestation, but it seems, if you judge by the news flow, that it is a kind of antidote to the poison that Mayor Burke let forth from the lips of his chief of police, David Roddy, 2 Tuesdays ago. Now it's 2 weeks ago today, when he proposed a ban on free speech communications between two strata of society. That would be the poor on one side, from whose lips the speech flows, to the better off, into whose ears the words reach. And that would be in the way of panhandling, begging, petitioning for alms, seeking aid and comfort from the better off among people in Chattanooga, who are often homeless and often at ill means to provide a real service, or unsure of what service they can provide people who may have mental problems, as they're called. I would say those are very often spiritual problems in having a relationship with God or rejecting same. And so they are in a state of pecuniary distress, that it would be, to say, improvident or poor, and often hungry, unable to make meet bills, unable to have stores of their own supply, and being homeless, many of them unable to carry much in the way of earthly possessions because they can't store anything, and so have difficulty accumulating and living out the virtue of thrift, in which you salvage and scavenge and save and keep. I mean, if you're homeless, it's very difficult, given the depredations of other people who are also homeless, to maintain your property and secure it. So it's just hard to get an advantage if you don't have a regular address. And so the homeless have been the target, if you will, of police state abuse in the way of a plea. Right, the abuse by David Roddy, Mayor Burke, chief of police, has been a plea for help, and that is to have the city council change the ordinance against panhandling, aimed at those poor people in certain tourist districts, from petitioning for alms and restricting them to most of the remainder of the city, wherein they can beg from the local people. Right, that's the idea of our tourist district sanctuary, making a sanctuary for tourists and out of town people to be free from our problem residents, our poor people, who are allowed to beg only from me there on Access Road in Brainerd, near Northmore or North Point Boulevard, but not near Bessie Smith Hall, or not near the aquarium. We'll save our tourists. We'll make their parts of town a sanctuary, from a haven from our poor people. Well, this is David Tulis, and we have we have the local economy free market analysis suggesting that you love your neighbor and buy local, brought to you by Signal Voice and Data, which has it in view that your staff people's smartphones can all integrate into a sales and business platform. That would be a great benefit to you. You don't have to buy bulky LAN systems from EPB. Why bother having desk phones and costly systems at hundreds of dollars per month in rent from EPB when you can have Signal do the same thing, and you're integrating your workers' private property, that is to say their cell phone, and you can give them their own numbers and their own accounts, and it's all integrated. A terrific platform at Signal Voice and Data. Just call Charlotte. Tell your phone, okay, Google, call Signal Voice and Data Chattanooga, and Charlotte will answer the phone, or Henry Franklin. This is David Tulis, and we're arguing that local economy and free market is a way of looking at the world, and is a way of bringing about for Chattanooga, I would say blessings. Okay, blessings and advantages, and the signs of which are prosperity. Right, financial prosperity is simply a sign, an evidence of some state of being, state of mind that is internal to the individual, and also, you could say, poetically speaking, internal to the city itself. Though it's really, that is of course just a fantasy. It is a kind of legal fiction to refer to the soul of the city. There isn't such a thing. It is simply a construct of writers and maybe poets who care enough to write a poem about Chattanooga. It would be something that in their realm of review. And now the whole question about the homeless people is this: as you can read, Chattanooga Time Free Press has a story about it today, and Alina Hunter Graw at Nooga.com also a brief account of this interagency council on homelessness. Of course, this is a group of groups. It's like having a bureaucracy for bureaucracies. That's what we have with the federal government. We have a multitude of agencies, many of them in conflict, many of them jealously guarding their prerogatives and their turf and their personnel and their legal parts of the U.S. Code, which are their responsibility. But if there's some emergency, they will get together and, for the sake of national security, unite their efforts. And so here we have, on a smaller scale in Chattanooga, locally, we have the crisis of homelessness, which is homelessness is a part of the human condition. People are homeless for reasons of character, for reasons of having burned bridges in the past, for reasons of sloppy ways. Vanity and pride are often at the heart of many a homeless man's breast. He will not suffer to obey anybody. He will not suffer to follow anybody's rules, and so he is at the very bottom of the economic scale and non-productive. Many homeless people are simply non-productive, and some resort to perhaps the second oldest profession, that would be mendicancy, begging, and those are the ones targeted by Mayor Burke through the jangling tongue of David Roddy, the chief of police. But here we have, in a seeming counterpoint, in a seeming rebuttal, in city government, we have the positive ethic. We have with Roddy, we have the coercive hammer laid upon the bare backs of the poor. But here now we have the same tongue silenced in the mouth of Chief Roddy, but flapping in that of Mayor Randy Burke, and he is giving through what's called an executive order signed March 19, according to Alina in her report, uniting several organizations and members of the community to form the Interagency Council on Homelessness. And Tyler Yount says, we're looking to expand our services to address the systematic problems of homelessness. He is the Chattanooga Homeless Program Coordinator. By bringing more people to the table, we can have new collaborative ideas. We can build a plan to address homelessness at each community level, and we can have a platform to implement that plan. That's quoted here at Nooga.com. And the council, the story says, will create what we apparently don't have now, or if we have long-term plans, they are each specific to individual organizations. And so here we have a subsuming of individual nonprofit charity goals, and we are having them sort of relinquished. If we are to believe the mayor, relinquished in a fashion and to a degree to the city and this council of councils, right? This group of groups that will have what we don't have now, and that would be a new collaborative ideas for a plan. We don't have a plan. And so we are going, according to the story, to functionally end homelessness in Chattanooga. Well, that sounds good. We can't ever end it because there are always new people who come to town. Right? We have a free market economy, and we have mobility, and people come and go. They walk, they hitchhike, they buy bus tickets. Some drive, some are passengers, some travel. Some people, if they can get in, they get in trains and hang on to trains. But I think that's probably much less common since rail cars nowadays have cameras, and spy drones hover over rail yards, according to the Wall Street Journal report recently. And many train workers don't like that. So there's surveillance, and they get here. People come to Chattanooga, and so they're homeless. And you can't. If we had a totally static society, you could say, well, we can't have a program in Chattanooga to end homelessness, because once we've got the last person off the streets and into some kind of residence with a fixed address and a lock on the door in which he can secure his property and get mail, well, then we've ended the problem. But that's not really how the world is, and we have a mobile society, so we're always going to be, if you will, fighting the problem. The name is David Tulis. It's 800-8949, 800-8949. Alvin York, the war hero. I get easily distracted in either writing or reading. I was reading this morning Sergeant York's Life, Legend, and Legacy by John Perry out of Nashville. And I read this book with great care a couple years ago, and I had time this morning. Wasted my time, I say, reading when I should be consuming the news, right? And doing some economic analysis. I enjoyed my time this morning over my 2 cups of coffee. Reading. I was going to hear how Alvin York is in the news, and it's regarding the greatest battle, according to one story, pick up by Tom Humphrey, out of Tennessee, and the question is of the 70-year-old grandson of Alvin York, and the greatest battle is in Fentress County, in Tennessee, North Tennessee, and that's the school. So there's a bit of news there, but I wanted to tell you about, as I can in God's providence today, about Alvin York, who's a devout Christian, and yet mowed down Germans, 20+ Germans with his bolt-action rifle, I think a Springfield 30 caliber, and then his Colt Commander 45, in a tremendous, terrific scene. John Perry opens the book, the biography, in that battle scene where York heroically killed many Germans and caused capture of more than 130 in a broken up unit, and the Germans more or less surrendering to him, dreading to be picked off as if they were turkeys up in the hill country where on Saturdays the men would get together and spend all day shooting at turkeys hiding behind a log, and the heads periodically popping out as they clucked along the dirt for seed. They would sometimes, in swallowing, raise their heads up so that the seed could go down the throat. And when they did, men standing 40 yards back would knock the head off of the ball. So that is one thing I want to get to today. And also I have some words for the city council, and I it's about transportation and administrative notice, and it's a project of mine. It is my. I'm not going to tell you about it now. We'll have to save it. Okay, we'll have to save it now, and I hope you can. If you have to duck out, come back in a few minutes. And go to find out more about the whole transportation administrative notice, which is a work of white reparations. Okay, it is, and I haven't explained this really to you, but I probably owe you an explanation about why I am undertaking this long project, which seems so fruitless. It seems so fruitless to do a legal analysis of Tennessee law and find in it a liberty which is not being recognized in practice. And the practice is on the part of Chattanooga Police Department and Sheriff Jim Hammond's Sheriff's Department and other such agencies across the state. But only 3 have thus far received administrative notice at my hand. And I want to tell you about what I'm having the law tell these agencies. It is a work of Christian repentance on my part as a Caucasian man of privilege. Okay, I'm a man of privilege because I'm white, and I certainly don't advocate reparations for African Americans by way of a check from the government. That would not be fruitful. There's no way that could ever be just. It would just be another welfare program. So reparations have to come personally and individually, and that is because I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ having saved me from my sins, and now that I'm to whom much has been given, as I have been, much is expected. And since no one cares about reading law in the bathroom as I do, I do that. Okay, I'll read Gibson's Suits and Chancery. I read Gibson's for months in the downstairs guest bathroom in my house, and I got, in one bout of reading, I probably got 200 pages through that 2-volume set, each volume about 600 pages. So I got through the forms, and I got through some of the concepts of equity and chancery court. So this is my light reading. Okay, you'll just have to bear with me. That means that the David Tulis show here at 92.7 is a bit odd. Okay, it's a bit odd, but I hope you find it nonetheless genuine and affirming of what you know to be true. You're my listener, and I'm grateful that you are giving me just a minute of your time. And if you run a business, make sure you call Charlotte or Henry at Signal Voice and Data. That company will save you hundreds on your phone bill in your business and integrate all your staff people's smartphones that they have anyway. Smartphones are so common. Even poor people, even beggars have them. Okay? Even beggars have them. In fact, here in the studio, we have just behind me, just outside the glass door of my little hooch here, where my desk is, my papers are strewn across. There is a plastic bag, clear, with a cell phone in it, maybe a smartphone, from a beggar who not long ago won Globetrotter tickets with a drunken friend to go, and they came to collect about a month ago, and that phone has been here waiting for him to be to go back to his warm hands as he lives out in some trees behind the Riley's liquor store here in Texas. But we're going to talk about transportation notice and the whole idea about the council. Okay, this homeless council. The story says it will create a long-term plan to functionally end homelessness. Okay, so the question I was asking a moment ago here at 800-8949, 800-8949 is can we functionally end it? Well, we really can't, because of human nature and the fact of people's free movement in and out of the city. The council that Mayor Burke has created will have as its members individuals, some homeless people or previously homeless people, service providers, businesses, Houses of God Foundation, local governments. And the Chattanooga Police Department is the member with leprosy, and I gather that many people will stay their distance, and that the police department will, as it goes down the hallway, cry out, "Police department, police department," to scare people away. Right? That's what it's all about. And that it will be a member, and it will have to sit in the corner by itself. Its agent, Eliza Mizell, maybe, or Rob Simmons, or one of the high executives in that agency. And at the table, of course, you'll find the legitimate members who are not scabrous and not leaking fluids from their skin. That would be the Regional Homeless Coalition, the UTC, the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, the MLK Neighborhood Association. These are organizations here in Chattanooga that will be at the table. Mayor Burke says, with business, government, health, and service providers at the table, we will make progress. And you can be confident that Mayor Burke will make progress. Tyler Yount, who has, for the moment, the title of homeless coordinator, also will. So you have an agency comprised of agencies, comprised of boards, comprised of groups, and they are all going to be working together. So in a way, I think these things are really important, and they're in a way they're kind of inevitable. But does government solve problems? The general answer is no. Generally, government, the civil authority, the civil magistrate, who wields the sword for better or for worse, really can't do what is a work of individuals and families. And I would say the church through the diaconate, is the ideal locus for an operation of grace. And grace is what's needed in Chattanooga. Chattanooga has a lot of it. God has been very gracious in Chattanooga in many ways. Look at the fact that the babies are not slaughtered, as more than 30,000 babies were destroyed on Vance Road. That's been shut down for 20 years. And that there's been time in the meantime for growth, for family growth, for children to be born, for new people to come, new blood, new ideas. Blessing Chattanooga. David Tulis.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga.